In a galaxy far, far away from ours, planets are being destroyed. Chairman Drek has taken on this great sin to save his people from their polluted planet by ripping other planets apart and taking their pieces to build a brand new planet so that his people can finally live in peace. Yeah, right. More like he's ripping them up for his own profit. But even in the depths of space, hope is not lost. For the greatest heroes in the galaxy, Ratchet and Clank are on the scene. And it's not just their massive arsenal of weapons that are scary, but who they belong to. This entire galaxy and Drek are about to be ripped anew. Tune in or tune out.
Welcome to the fantasy zone.
Get with me.
You are tuning in to the JayBlast Network. Welcome to the next level.
Let's get scratching.
Okay, Pete here is going to try to hit, that target with the Devastator, a rocket launcher designed for Ratchet and Clank.
Oh, man. Oh.
The Devastator, one of 36 weapons and gadgets not fit for this world. Rated T for Teen.
After the release of Spyro 3, Insomniac Games, much like their counterpart Naughty Dog, would end the deal they had with Universal to create Spyro games. But in their case, they were kind of just tired of the series, or at least they ran out of ideas. They felt that they did everything they could with Spyro 3, and they would make their move to make a different game, one that they would fully own, and could always have new ideas to act on. This project would form into two ideas initially. One was Monster Night, which really did not get off the ground floor, and the other was A Girl with a Stick. Yeah, that was the name. Now, this was just a prototype name, so let's not try to harp on it too much. But even they felt it was a bit generic or boring, as the idea was scrapped altogether. The one element they did keep from all of it, though, was the fact they wanted an adventure game with some puzzle elements similar to the ones in Zelda or Tomb Raider. All they needed was a cool, unique setting to go along with that, and that setting would turn out to be space, the final frontier. But it was only the start of their massive universe, for the greatest duo in the galaxy were about to be created. The team combined an alien of their own creation, the Lombax, with a robotic companion, creating the duo of Ratchet and Clank, an unlikely team that would need to fly around the galaxy going from planet to planet to save them from total annihilation by the worst villain possible, a real estate agent. Your way of stopping them? Your arsenal of weapons that you also have to buy.
That's a real beauty.
Hey man, money makes the galaxy go around, whether it's to save or destroy it. But our boys got it in the bag. For Ratchet and Clank, when it released back in 2002, would be a smash hit. But what made this series have that success? Was it the adventure elements? Was it the platforming? Or was it the weapons? No, I'd say it's a combination of all three. And that would lead to it being not only the best platforming series in the PS2, but the only platforming series right now to survive the PS2 generation. In fact, it was the only one to have consistent gameplay throughout its entire history, not even to switch up or change its setting like its other platformer contemporaries on the PS2. And yes, those contemporaries I'm talking about are Jack and Sly, because Ratchet beat them both. Yeah, we're fighting it out today. Hi, my name is Jay, and you're tuning into the JayBlast Network as we take a blast of the past to shoot through the games that kicked ass with Ratchet and Clank. Our two heroes meet by complete circumstance, at least for this game. Ratchet, a mechanic working on a backwater planet Veldin, seeks out more in his life and wants to travel the galaxy, while Clank, a defect of Drek's robot army, seeks out someone who can help save the galaxy from Drek and crashes onto Veldin. And this is where we begin. Ratchet immediately begins with his Omni Wrench and the Bomb Glove, which is your first weapon. You'll smack people with the Omni Wrench and blow up enemies from a distance with the Bomb Glove. Now you can't necessarily aim with this weapon, only see in the reticle where the bomb's gonna land, but this actually shows you that this game is more about running and gunning than just outright shooting at enemies. And this is the start of those shooting elements and platforming elements combining. But for now, Ratchet is able to reach Clank.
Interesting.
Yay!
You're quite handy with your wrench.
You bet. I built that ship with it.
Currently, I'm in search of someone who could be of assistance in saving the solar system. Do you know where I might find that fellow?
Well, he's on the radio every week. Other than that, no. Hey, what's with all this save the solar system stuff anyway?
Hello, citizens of... My race, the Blog, have a small problem. Our planet has become so polluted, overpopulated, and poisonous that we are no longer able to dwell here. But I, Chairman Drek, have a solution. We are constructing a pristine new world using the choicest planetary components available. So, what does this mean to you, you might ask? Using highly sophisticated technology, which you couldn't possibly understand, we will be extracting a large portion of your planet and adding it to our new one. Unfortunately, this change in mass will cause your planet to spin out of control and drift into the sun, where it will explode into a flaming ball of gas. But, of course, sacrifices must be made. Thank you for your cooperation.
Cut!
And if you don't like it, you can take your whiny, sniveling, snot-nosed populations, form a line behind me, and kiss my... We're still on? Well, turn it off, you idiot!
The people on those planets are hosed. Well, good luck getting Captain Quark to help you.
Actually, you could help me. If you could use your ship to take me to the coordinates contained in this infobot, I might be able to gather further information there.
Even if I wanted to, I can't. I'm missing a crucial component of the ship.
The robotic ignition system.
How did you know that?
I, sir, happen to be equipped with the latest in robotic ignition systems. My programming allows me to start any ship I choose.
So, I agree to take you to this, wherever it is, and you get my ship started for me?
That is what I'm proposing.
Deal.
With both being able to solve or at least have an answer to their problem, they head out into the galaxy for the first time as Drek schemes. And they crash land into Novalis. And this is where the real game begins. Novalis showcases the major strengths of this game: exploration, weapons and gunplay, and puzzles. While Ratchet is not an open world like Jak and Daxter, I think it's able to use its levels and space travel elements to make the world feel more open than it actually is. The planets are huge. And take Novalis here. You got 3 pathways. One goes down into the valley, the other involves battling the Blarg, that's what the aliens on Drek's army are called. And in this section, it's purely combat focused. Then when you get to the water plant, it mostly focuses on the platforming, as you need to hop around on different platforms to reach the top of the plant, with less enemies being around you. And then you have the water cave area, which has a focus on puzzles. Okay, it's either going to be a puzzle or some type of gimp that you're going to have to be repeating over and over again under harder circumstances, like here when going to swim underwater, to progress through these tanks before you run out of air. And all of this isn't just presented as the way I described it. They just feel like alternate pathways that you want to explore, even though it's linear. Because of the way that things are designed here, it feels bigger than it should be. And some of it, like the water cave path, is completely optional, but can give a reward or give you more bolts, which is more important. I'll get into the bolts later, but for now I want to talk about how they made Ratchet's world bigger than it actually is. When you go to different planets, you see the ship fly through space, and while it's a disguise for a load screen, it's a really good disguise, as no matter where you go, the game doesn't feel like it's hitting a load screen. Rather, it feels like you're actually exploring another part of the galaxy. And when you get to a planet, you get the planet's name and the area name that you're going to on that planet, like Metropolis here being on planet Kurwan. What also helps are these establishing shots at the start of each planet. Now, all of the PS2 platformers love doing this, but Ratchet makes a huge point to always do it and will point you in the direction that you are about to start exploring. But it also showcases the scale of the world in a breathtaking way. Look at Metropolis. This stage was not only a huge showcase for this game, but a showcase of the PS2 hardware itself. All of the flying cars, giant buildings, and the action that takes place in this city not only shows how powerful the PS2 was and how talented Insomniac Games were by creating this, but also showcased how cool the sci-fi elements were. I mean, there's even air trains here that you have to go on and fight your way through to progress through the city, man. Like, it's awesome. It all builds to make this alien, well, Metropolis feel humongous, even if we only explore so little of it. Not to say that the level is small, but I'm just saying in comparison to how big you think it would be, we're really only exploring a small portion of it, which is really cool. It's also here where we get Ratchet's first movement upgrade. You see, when you first play as Ratchet, his jump feels a little heavy, and sometimes in the air he can come off a bit stiff. This is because you had to upgrade Clank to get the helipad.
This won't hurt a bit.
Hey, wait. Ratchet, am I cool now?
Yeah, you the man, Clank.
It's really interesting how such a staple of the series has to be bought here and not just given to you. It kind of reminds me of Mega Man X, where the dash had to be found, but it's kind of essential to the Mega Man X gameplay. And from that game on, going forward, it would always given to you automatically. You kind of feel naked without it, and it gives a small feeling of growth when you unlock such a fundamental ability that's established throughout the entire series. In saying that though, I need to talk about another thing, bolts. You better be getting them. If you thought Insomniac were greedy with money bags, then wait until you see these games. At least the first two. Because not only do you need to buy weapons, but you also have to buy progression, or buy items that will help you progress.
What does a helipack upgrade sound?
Upgrade?
Natch. Since he's a 766, I could have the little guy up and flying in no time. Of course, I'll just need my fee for service.
Whether it's an upgrade to Clank, an infobot leading you to a new planet, or some jackass you save charging you for an item that you need, even though you saved them.
Look, I need to get out of here so I can find a new job. How about I sell you these at cost?
Sell? After we just saved your scrawny butt?
All right. I'll give you the employee discount too.
You're always gonna have to be spending some bolts. Now, part of this is because of the joking commentary on corporations, commercialization, and capitalism. The infobots serve that commercialization part. In fact, that's one of the funniest parts of the game. Before you go to each planet, an infobot will always play, kind of advertising that planet to you by using an in-world advertisement or some guy begging for help on the infobot.
Has this ever happened to you? Hi, I'm Captain Quark, and believe me, there's nothing worse than staring down a Blargian snagglebeast from the inside and knowing your equipment isn't functioning properly. That's why I come to Al's Robo Shack for all my electronic needs. Al has been the exclusive repair shop for my super electro gadgets since I was knee-high to a sand mouse. If Al can't fix it, it's not broke. Right, Al? You said it, pal. So if you're fighting crime, or just fighting grime, come to Al's RoboShack in Metropolis for all your robotic repairs. Al's RoboShack, it's Quarktastic!
And it's usually tied to some joke on pop culture or a joke around commercials themselves, and it always manages to be funny. You know, it doesn't feel like it's forced or anything. It just feels like it's actually making fun of this stuff. There's even some things here that I didn't even recognize until I was an adult and learned more about the world. And let me just say, they get away with a lot in this game that you didn't even think about when you were a kid. But that was only one part of the commentary. There's also commentary on corporations, well, more like corporate greed, and that's where people like Chairman Drek come in, who's our main villain, and is a galactic real estate agent who's destroying planets just to make another planet for him to sell land on, putting people in harm's way or leading them to their death, all for profits. That's a harsh plan, and with that comes an even harsher galaxy. It's not like everyone's mean, but everyone's out for their own, even if the stakes are high or their life is on the line. They still need them bolts.
Shouldn't you be on one of them escape transports?
Escape transports?
Newsflash, giant robots attacking! The escape transports are taking all the rich folks off this god-darn planet.
So why aren't you on one?
Socioeconomic disparity.
What?
He hasn't got enough bolts.
Working people have to wait for Captain Quark to save them.
And that's where the capitalism commentary comes into play. That's what makes some of these characters interesting though, in my opinion. Many of them have small roles like the plumber. But even with these small roles, their dialogue with Ratchet and Clank is hilarious and memorable.
Blast it!
Look, plumber's crack.
What did you just say?
I said, look, the plumber's back.
All right, wise guy.
Or even take Skip McMarks, trying his best to get out of helping you with all of his issues.
About to crash, sir.
He's okay, but I've had a little trouble getting back to my ship due to my sprained ankle.
Oh, come on.
Even Ratchet himself is self-centered in his motivations, but he'll step up and do the right thing as the game goes along. Now, I'm not saying that the game is really deep on its commentary. In fact, I kind of didn't want that in the first place, but it's just using that to play off of the comedy, and I think it's done very well here. And also, it feels kind of relatable because you just know everyone kind of acts like this in real life when they need money. It makes the game feel more real world and just having these NPCs be all nice and kind to you, man. This is a rough galaxy, man. Dudes are literally shooting each other outside of people's houses. You want them to be fine with that happening and don't want no money to escape? Now, back to the planets and the weapons. The game is split up into 3 acts, with the first one covering Novalis, Metropolis, Iridia, Edoria, Nebula G4, Blackwater City, and Umbris. In these planets, there are optional areas or missions that usually lead to more bolts or an extra weapon, like in Edora here. The main route you may go on first through the forest will lead you to the Suck Cannon. We'll get into that in a bit, but it's the canyon route on the other side that leads you into the actual progression in the main story.
You sure showed him.
I suppose I did.
Talk about being scared shitless. However, because the gameplay is so addicting and because you want more bolts to get weapons and because some weapons or gadgets are tied to these planets and also because the planets are just really fun to explore, even though they're optional content, you just want to explore these planets and discover new areas, as with the way everything is presented, it actually feels like one big galaxy, despite these all being separate planets or levels. Goes to show how well they designed the scope of these planets, despite their limited play space compared to a true open world. But that world needs some action, and that's where these weapons deliver. Ratchet's arsenal is a huge part of the series' identity, and it's not just traditional weaponry either, and each of the weapons have their own use. We started out with the bomb glove, an explosive that we can toss and knock back enemies with, but then you get groups of enemies where it gets harder to take them all on at once and not get hit, and that's where the flamethrower comes in for crowd control. And for range, you'll get the blaster, a staple of the Ratchet and Clank games, allowing you to shoot enemies from a distance and sort of acts as like a submachine gun. But then you'll get more non-traditional weapons like the Suck Cannon, which can suck in smaller mobs and shoot them out back at enemies. Or one of my other favorites, the Glove of Doom, where you can toss out Doom bots that will run up and blow up enemies. Perfect for rooms where you're about to get jumped and are low on health and they need to be cleared out. It's constantly encouraged to switch between these weapons in gameplay, with enemies of different variety being paired up with each other, like wanting to hit airborne enemies with the blaster while taking out close mobs with the Suck Cannon and flamethrower, or bigger enemies going down faster with explosive weapons. On top of that, you can't just sit there and shoot. Boy, you gotta move around and platform around those enemies in tighter spaces or in the gaps that you're fighting on. In that way, while shooting itself can be very simple, because of the movement and because of the weapon variety, it makes the gameplay stand out not just from other platformers, but from shooters at the time too, making something fully unique, fun, and addicting as you murk all of your enemies in your path. And you get one of these weapons per level. Well, they have the ability to be bought per each level, with each increasing in cost, and also having that weapon be more useful in the level that it's found on, like the blaster being given on Metropolis, with more airborne enemies are around. So you want to constantly be exploring, fighting enemies, and gaining bolts. All of it loops back into each other, and then into a game that you just cannot put down once you get into your groove. Though there are some exceptions regarding some of the weapons you want to actually use. For instance, I did not invest in the taunter because it felt like it was a waste of money at the time. It's supposed to be able to taunt enemies into falling off or running in the hazards, but I just would not waste your time with it, as you can just knock these guys off with your wrench. Ratchet's giant wrench will also come in handy in combat. Not only can it smack enemies away, but it's also used to screw in these bolts that often open up doors or different mechanisms. And it's just so cool that Ratchet has his own unique non-traditional weapon like this. I mean, it's not even a normal wrench either. It's actually called the Omni wrench. That's why it's so big, and that's why it can screw in all of these bolts whenever you need it to. I like that they implemented the engineering aspect of Ratchet's character into the gameplay, and I'm glad that part also helps within the combat as well. Then there's the Mine Glove, which seems cool at first with this mine you can place that track enemies, but the range on it is so poor for when you're trying to pick up on enemies that you end up rather using the Glove of Doom, where the Doom bots just run towards the enemy and destroy it. Maybe combining both the Taunter and the Mine Glove together could solve this. Like, you could use the Taunter to bring people into the mines, but that's going to take up 2 quick select slots just for some mediocre weapons that need to be combined to work properly. I would just save up your bolts for later weapons. And speaking of quick select, that is another reason why you have to keep moving, as quick select does not pause the game and you can get hit while switching weapons. Quick select was the way for you to be able to switch weapons on the fly. Now, you can always pause the game and switch, but that breaks the flow of gameplay in my opinion. Having the quick select not pause kind of adds to the idea of having to move around the map while fighting, but I think it would have just been better to freeze the screen, especially since you can already do that with more steps anyway. Now, Now, the last two parts of the gameplay are the gadgets and the items, and well, Clank himself. Let's get into those gadgets and items. Throughout the game, you'll receive items or gadgets for going down certain paths or completing certain objectives for NPCs, like the swing shot here with Quark's trainer. Well, at least we got it. You could use it to swing from swing shot points to progress over certain gaps. You really use it on Iridia in one of my favorite sections as you navigate through the factory area, which ends up leading to the Trespasser, which is a puzzle gadget. Puzzles are very important to Ratchet as it's also added to that adventure element that developers are going for. And usually they can be very brain teasing, like what you having to line up the lights here without having the blocker block the other light you're trying to connect. And once completing those puzzles with the Trespasser, you'll be able to open up this door and some other doors that require the Trespasser throughout the game. And if you just explore enough, you'll gain a lot of these items naturally without having to backtrack. Hell, some items you won't even need to think about until you have to use it, like gaining the hoverboard from helping Skid and Iridia, so that you can use the hoverboard in Blackwater City to win the race. By the way, Tony Hawk, this is not. But it was clearly hopping on the trend of the popularity of extreme sports at the time, along with the Tony Hawk games. So I can at least appreciate that. That being said, the controls in this can be very stiff and hard to turn. You can't even control the boost you have, as it has to be given through pickups or going on dash panels, and you'll slowly gain the lead from stacking these together. Jumping can help with the control and turning, but it only goes so far. But again, I appreciate this subtle switch up in the gameplay, even if it's a bit janky. But back talking about the items, you use that hoverboard to win the race, which gets you the prize to take back to Skid's manager on Iridia, which gives you another optional item that will help you later. And the only thing that requires backtracking is the item you gain from Skid's manager. If you just explore naturally, you'll get what you need, even if you won't need it for a while. And as for Clank, there are a couple of sections where Ratchet cannot access an area, usually because he can't breathe in that area, like in outer space here. Clank, being a robot, can, well, he just doesn't breathe at all, and his gameplay will be much slower when you play as him, and more puzzle focused because Clank's strength and size are significantly reduced compared to Ratchet. He can knock out most small enemies, but not all of them. That's where his gadget bots come in. They'll listen to Clank's command and can be used to sit on switches or attack bigger enemies that Clank can't defeat. Even if they die, they'll spawn back until you have them enter a door that requires all of them to be sacrificed so that you can progress. Rest in peace. You served well, soldiers. I'll see you on the next level you appear in. Though Clank's gameplay can be very slow in comparison to the main gameplay with Ratchet, I do think giving him his bots helps, though we have not reached the infamous part with him yet.
And while I'm praising the level variety, I should also praise what makes some of these levels memorable. I mean, look at something like Nebula G4, where besides that Clank section I mentioned before, you also have a section where you're trying to get this info bot in this part of the base that's about to explode, or fighting these mutant creatures that just love chomping at your ass really fast. Or the wood robots in Eudora, you know, these little things, whether it be a sequence or the way the enemies are, or the location of the level itself, like in Nebula G4 and being this outpost in other space, are so memorable. So even when Ratchet and Clank uses a area that is maybe something that another platformer did, because of the extra sci-fi elements and the Ratchet elements to it, especially by the fact that some of these levels even look kind of built together, like how some of Ratchet's weapons look, it gives this experience that only Ratchet and Clank could provide, that only in these games that you're able to go to these locations, that you're able to travel the galaxy like this, that you're able to even do things like this while you're traveling the galaxy. And it's amazing. That's one important thing that I think that kept Ratchet up above the others, that you just did not have a world like this in comparison to other platformers. And again, I always state that your uniqueness as a game, not just a platform, as a game, is what's gonna make you stand the test of time more than the elements that you borrow. And I feel like Ratchet was trying to take many elements, but it tried to make something new instead of being something else for the PlayStation. Like, it wasn't just trying to be the Mario of the PlayStation, it was trying to be PlayStation's platformer, right? Or not even platformer, it was trying to be PlayStation's main game at the time. And it succeeded because of stuff like this. This place also gives us the grind boost and the hydro displacer and the info bot for Blackwater. The grind boost play a bigger role in the second act, but the hydro displacer will be used in Blackwater as you escape through the city sewer system by using it to raise and lower water levels to progress. Each gadget can be added to the quick select menu, but it will take up a slot for a weapon. So for stuff like this, it's probably best to keep it off of the weapon wheel and just select it from the start menu when you need it. And speaking of Blackwater, it's one of my favorite levels in the game. Not only does it have the area look cool with the city
city being on this coral reef of sorts, but fighting through the city itself was awesome. I really like how you can see the city from a distance at the start as this big thing in the background, and then you go into it and you're met with an army of Blarg and Amoeboids, which are these green things that have overrun the city and can multiply multiple times when you destroy them. This is where a lot of your crowd control weapons will come into play, or you can just let them fight the Blarg as they both hate each other and will attack each other, though they will do it very slowly. Don't worry though, because your weapons will take care of the rest. And along with the sewer section and hoverboard race, despite how janky it is, I think it really expands this level and makes it one of the best in the game. My only problem with it is Quark's bouncer, who charges you 4,000 bolts for you to see Quark.
Hey, press conference is over. Captain Quark don't want no more reporters bugging him in his trailer.
Oh, you see, my friend and I need to speak to the captain about a matter of galactic security.
You mean you and your walking camera? You paparazzi make me sick. Now beat it!
But sir, I'm sure the Captain Quark will understand once we...
Now, save it. I know how it works. You convince me to let you in, you snap a picture of the captain in his underpants, then you sell a picture to the info tabloid for $1 million bolts!
You've got it all wrong!
Meanwhile, I'm stuck here making 6 bolts an hour, and I have to listen to a lecture from that cheapskate Quark. So you don't get in unless I get a kickback. In advance.
Bro, I still gotta buy ammo and weapons. Freak off! Whatever. The game's been hyping him up, so let's finally meet him.
What's that?
It's Ratchet and Clank, Captain. You know, from the hub.
Oh, yes, I know who you are.
You do?
Yes, and thank the galaxy you found me.
Huh?
There's an awful plot being hatched to destroy our planets.
Ratchet, he knows.
Great. Does that mean we can go hoverboarding now?
My friends, we're all in grave danger, and I believe that together we can put a stop to this madness.
Together? You mean you want our help?
Look, Ratchet, I've been keeping an eye on you. I've never seen anyone with such raw talent. You are a true hero in the making.
Really? You mean I could be famous?
Oh, absolutely. Oh, here, take this. What makes one man toil in obscurity while another becomes a hero? Is it strength, compassion, determination, or just pure blind luck? Wise men through the ages have struggled with that very question, but Captain Quark knows the secret. That's why he's been able to defeat more despots, rescue more damsels in distress, and save more civilizations than any other hero in the galaxy. Now is your opportunity to see if you've got the stuff heroes are made of. This infobot contains coordinates to Quark's secret base. Can you quickly conquer Quark's killer cannonade of confounded contraptions? Can you quickly Oh, just make your way through the defenses to the center of the base. Prove yourself, learn the secret, and earn your place in galactic history. Consult your doctor before attempting any strenuous exercise. Not responsible for death or dismemberment. Your results may vary. Meet me at my headquarters.
Hey, Captain Ratchet, what do you think?
We won't fail you, sir. We promise.
That seemed way too convenient, but regardless, you head to Quark's training planet, Umbrus. And as the game implied with training, this is one giant obstacle course. One giant obstacle course of death. And the end planet for Act 1. The difficulty jumps up here as you deal with tracking mines, ground turrets, along with being forced to use all of your gadgets up to this point. Don't get it twisted, despite only having one path, this is a long level, about as long as the other planets, if not a little bit longer. You'll have to avoid the death fish by taking away the water with the hydro displacer and activate doors while getting shot at by machines. And though this level doesn't have any Blarg, which is a neat touch of detail by the way, it doesn't mean that it ain't hard as hell at some points. This was the point where you really had to lock in onto the game, and what cements this is what happens at the end of the level.
Well, you two continue to surprise me. Step into the ring of heroes, and I will finally give you what you deserve.
Ratchet, this is no time for you to become cautious. We have reached our goal.
I don't know. There's something fishy going on here.
Listen to your little metal friend, Ratchet. Your destiny is mere steps away.
It's just something doesn't seem right.
This is it. Quark is going to help us stop Chairman Drek.
Why, thank you, Clank. You've been most helpful.
Get off of me, you idiot!
I love it when a plan comes together.
What do you mean?
What do you think he means, genius? He's not gonna help us, he's gonna kill us.
You catch on quick. Although there is one problem with your hypothesis. I'm not going to kill you.
You're not?
No, he is.
But why?
But why? It's really not that difficult to decipher. I'm the official spokesman for Drek's new planet. I can't have you two getting in the way of my comeback.
This isn't over, Quark.
No, but it will be soon.
Man, even Stevie Wonder could have seen that coming from a mile away. You literally could see Quark's big shadow talking to Drek in an earlier cutscene. The gameplay is a laugh at this, but still, Clank, you gotta get it together. Even if you're technically 0 years old. The Blargian Snagglebeast is our first boss. Okay, the snapping turtle thing from the Outpost was kind of our first boss, but this was the real first boss. That was just pretty much a giant version of an enemy. They really are bullet sponges, as you really only use the blaster here as it's your most viable weapon in terms of damage and how fast you can dish it out. At some point, you have to lead into the lava to damage him, but it ain't that hard to do. It's really a war of attrition with your ammo count, which he can also scatter away if he blows it out of you. But there's enough recoverable ammo around that you'll be able to take him down.
I wonder what that infobot is for.
Maybe it can replace you.
We're pinned down! We're pinned down! The ships are hammering our position from the air! That was a little too close! We need support! Now! Actually, I need support. My entire battalion went AWOL and left me to fight this war on my own. If the enemy doesn't kill those guys, I will. I'm not gonna last much longer! Requesting immediate assistance! Over and out!
Those are Drek's ships destroying that planet. We must help that commando.
Are you serious? That's it. I am out of here. Captain Quark is gonna be sorry he messed with me.
This is not about Captain Quark anymore. There are innocent lives being lost.
Yeah? Well, I'm done with this stupid hero stuff. I got my own agenda now.
Ratchet, this is not like you.
What do you know about me? You've spent this whole time looking for Quark. You don't know anything about me.
I know that you will do the right thing.
Well, right now the thing I want to do is find Quark. How do you start this stupid thing?
Have you forgotten? You need a robotic ignition system. I will start the ship if you agree to help that commando.
So, blackmail is it? Fine. Just shut up and start the ship.
No, I kind of feel Ratchet, dog. I'm still mad about that damn 4,000 bolts. But now we enter Act 2, and this is where some of the problems come in with the game. Because despite its unlikely combination of gameplay elements turning into, well, in my opinion, a masterpiece of gameplay, there still are some shortcomings with the way it was executed here. Though, not all of them are going to be the ones that you think I'm talking about, if you played this game.
Attention, you deserting maggots! The next time you soldiers try to go AWOL, I'll shoot you myself!
Look, I just want to...
Zip it, worm! You see those bombers? If you don't get to the turrets and knock those ships out of the sky, this whole planet's gonna be rubble! Meet me at the city entrance!
He needs our help.
Yeah? Why don't you go help him? Into another trap? Well, go on. Go fight some evil.
At least I'm not a coward.
Whatever. As soon as I find Quark, I'm selling you for scrap.
In this part of the game, we now start to see the real damage Drek's army is doing to the planets by putting us on a war planet, Battalia, to start. Though Ratchet could give a damn about any of that. He just wants to take down Quark, which makes him more aggressive towards Clank. And the enemies also get more aggressive towards us. When I said this was the war planet, I meant it, as we now have to deal with tanks and bombers up front, as well as the attack patterns getting much more aggressive. This stays throughout this section of the game. We also get a grind boot section, which challenges you on dodging obstacles or hopping from rail to rail to make it to the other side and find bolts. I always found these sections to be cool set pieces. They feel like roller coasters, and the scale that's presented in the main level applies here too. This level is also where the versatility in your arsenal starts to increase. If you have been collecting everything and have enough bolts, we can get the Devastator, the game's rocket launcher, perfect for those beefy enemies like the tanks. And the Sonic device is something you can get from Skid's manager. If you go back fly to Iridia and complete his side quest. And though they try to make it seem like it's useless at first, it actually puts in work here, as this little drone helps you out in combat, making you want to get more optional items as they all help you progress in the game a lot easier. In a way, this level checks you for your progress through it, having the money and the items like the grind boots and the sonic device, but especially at the end, or almost the end of the main path, where you cannot progress without the magna boost.
Well, you tried. See ya.
Not so fast, soldier. You're going into that compound even if I have to throw you. Aha! That ventilation shaft leads to the turret platform. Soldier, find a way to use that shaft to infiltrate the compound undetected.
Which are on a completely new planet. And this is where the game really starts to dig into its adventure elements. All of the planets in the second act of the game are synergized, each having an item that can be used to progress, and progress may be cut off without another item from a different planet. So you'll have to keep going back between these sets of planets and backtrack or complete the entire planet to be able to complete them all. Beforehand, you can pretty much progress in the main game without backtracking. You only needed to do it for a side quest, but now it's out required for the main quest. You see, you have to traverse between the planets Gaspar, Aroxon, Poketaru, and Hoven, all centered around Aroxon, this toxic planet. This is actually the original homeworld of the Blarg, and yeah, we can see why they need to move. The planet is so polluted that you can't even walk on it and breathe the air, so Clank has to explore it first to find the magna boost. This is where he has to use his bots the most, and also where his weaknesses get shown off to the full extent. Clank's moves much slower than Ratchet, and if one of his bots dies, you have to run back over to where the bots spawn and go get him. And you pretty much needed them for this whole section, because you got areas where you need to avoid having them be killed by obstacles that you can easily dodge yourself, but because they're following you, it makes it a little bit harder to get them around it, along with these mutants being nearly impossible to kill without a gadget bot. I don't think these obstacles are bad, rather it's the time it takes to recover them that can make this section tedious. There is a reason for the section being long, and it's the last Clank section that will play like this throughout the entire game. Way to go out with a bang, or a whimper. Well, this whole planet feels like a whimper. When you get the magna boots and the info bot, things begin to open up more, as you get to explore Gaspar and Poketaru to get the rest of the items you need to progress on Roxon. Well, mostly Poketaru, but I want to look at Gaspar first. The lava planet really has nothing going on with it story-wise, but it's awesome regardless. I always love this optional section where you can shoot down these ships and get a skill point, which skill points are certain objectives you can do in the levels that will give you a skill point. They actually carry over from Spyro the Dragon, and as you complete more of them, you unlock some rewards, but we'll talk about that later. This is also where positioning and combat really starts becoming important, as you got these mines that start to follow you on these tiny or linear platforms until they explode, and they're hard to destroy, and are sometimes near these ambush rooms where enemies will shoot at you immediately. That's when the Glove of Doom becomes a clutch weapon in these sections. You get the pilot helmet here, which will be needed later, but other than that, that's pretty much it. There was no cutscenes here at all, really. Now onto Poketaru, the beach resort planet, which is also being invaded by the Blarg. Now you're set up thinking you're finna go on this escort mission with this tour guide, but it's more like he's escorting you around the resort with this hovercraft. It's a good thing he's watching out for us over the water though, as that infamous fist I told y'all about in my Jak and Daxter video returns in this level if you swim out too far, though I did not encounter him on this playthrough. Poketaru is also significant because this is where we get the jetpack upgrade for Clank, which is pretty much a faster helipack that can also slam on the big buttons, but it also has another function, strafing. Now this is what the game needed in some of its high combat areas, as it's not always easy to fight and lock on to multiple enemies at a time. However, its implementation here leaves a lot to be desired, as setting it up and turning puts you in a more compromising position than just running and sending out long range weapons from a distance. The game does account for you not having to strafe, but at a certain point later in the game, upfront combat in many situations becomes unviable because you'll die in seconds unless you upgrade it to the right weaponry. So I think strafing could use a bit more work here. This stage also gives us our first spaceship section, and it's serviceable. Look, the ship controls are, like I said, kind of stiff, kind of similar to the hoverboard, and when you have to turn around a lot like in this section or circle back, it feels a bit jank, but I think the idea of it is nice. It kind of remind me of Crash 3's airplane levels, which is funny because you think they'd be making it more like Spyro's flight levels because it's Insomniac games, but it just needed a little bit more refinement, kind of like that strafe. But once you shoot down all those airships forming the resort, you gain the O2 mask, so we can finally go back and explore Roxon properly. There are a couple of side quests you can complete, like going back back to Battaglia and using the magnet boots to get into the city. Yeah, all that hype for the general about the city and the hype around the first time using the magnet boots is completely optional. At least you get these turn sections and...
Hey, I know you two.
Look, the plumber's back.
Very funny.
Took the words out of my mouth. It's here where you get the metal detector, and to be honest, this is one of the most pointless items in the game. I mean, you can find bolts on the ground with it, but it's not much to pull it out, especially when the bolt requirements have gone up significantly. You're better off rerunning levels. Also, there's this hydro splicer section at Poketaru that leads you back to the same asshole that charged you to save them back at the outpost.
You will find Raritanium for me.
No, I will not.
Piece of junk.
And now he wants you to find Raritanium for him, the rarest metal in the galaxy, just to get this Hypnomatic, which will actually be useful as it brings the price of weapons down in Gadgetron and also ammo. This is also why I have not been talking much about the weapons in this section, because after the Devastator, I did not buy anything new for a while until I got this. Your current arsenal from the first half really puts it in work, especially the Sut Cannon. We need to take down a mob of enemies. Okay, so after all that, now we can go back to Roxxon, and after all that build up to go and explore the planet, how is the planet? Well, it's boring and irritating. All of the small problems come ahead as what you backtracked for wasn't that fun to explore. You got two paths with small ass platforms that house these mutant enemies that hit you so fast while you're trying to avoid a dropship that's shooting at you or an infobot that's trying to wake up the damn mutants around you. The magnet boots are slow as shit when you finally get to use them. You can't even jump. And as cool as it is to see stages from a different angle or upside down, it's not as cool to be smacked once and then fall off of the damn magnet path and die. You can't even use weapons while on the magnet path, so you gotta avoid getting hit by these hating ass birds. And you know what? The planet ain't even that good to look at either. I think that's the problem with this entire section. The adventure elements that they added are good, but it's all to explore this shithole of a planet. And I guess that's the point, since, you know, they're trying to make a brand new planet and their old planet is messed up, so you actually get to see that. But the reward for all of that build up is not that good. I mean, that didn't mean the reward had to be bad because of it. No matter what part of the planet you're on, it sucks. And again, the concept behind a Roxxon is cool, as you get to see how messed up the large homeworld is, and having to get items from other planets to just traverse it is also kind of cool because this planet is so damn messed up, but it's also important to the story. It's just that whether you're playing the planet as Ratchet or just Clank by himself, it's such a slog, making all those cool adventure elements that brought this exploration onto this planet seem like they were even more of a drag, along with all the backtracking and item collection just to get to this mess. I see why Drek is doing what he does. I'd blow up this planet too, just for the hell of it, if I had to live on it. Though it does have a saving grace for having a nanotech vending machine, which can give you extra nanotech or health points if you buy them, and they'll definitely be needed for future encounters, or else you're going to be dying super fast. Now, one reason why the difficulty can be so high in this game is because of the checkpoint system. You see, a lot of the checkpoints only start at the beginning of a section and the end of a section, meaning if you die in the middle of that section, you got to restart from the beginning. And yeah, it can definitely get annoying, especially here on Roxxon. That was one problem that people had with the game. The checkpoint system was too unforgiving. It's especially egregious when you get on those levels that are only for one planet, so it's a really long planet with some scattered out checkpoints. You're gonna really not want to die there. But at the same time, it does make you actually have to focus on what you're doing, though it does make those sections where they put some dumb enemy setups even more egregious than it should be. So I can understand how people can get easily irritated at them. And I can also forgive for one other thing. This is where we finally get to go to the best planet of the game, Hoven.
Hello again, everyone. Supreme Executive Chairman Drek here to fill you in on our progress. We have now found the perfect orbit for our planet, one which will allow for the optimum temperature all year round. However, there is a planet now occupying that orbit, and sadly, for its few insignificant inhabitants, it must be destroyed. That's why we've created this! The Planet Buster Maximus, a device capable of blowing an entire planet into subatomic particles. We're quite proud of it. Here's how it works. We attach the Planet Buster to this ship, fly it into orbit around the planet, and let it go! Kaboom! Quite genius, really. Once our trained professionals put the finishing touches on our new planet, everything will be complete. Thank you. Goodbye.
This guy's gonna blow up an entire planet? That's just mean.
That's what I've been telling you.
Look, I'm still gunning for Quark. If we end up taking out Drek too, hey, fine. What?
You do care.
Don't push it, pal.
Now this is the real payoff for going through all that mess from before. One of the best snow levels in gaming with tons of platforming sections like the docks and using the swing shot to swing over the slippery ice and mountain gaps in the factory setting, which you reach by using the hydro displacer in this cave. That's how you get the hydro pack for Clank, and it's from one of his admirers.
Oh my goodness. Aren't you just a little angel?
Actually, I'm a little robot.
You're funny, too.
Yeah, but looks aren't everything.
You be nice. I think I got something special for you. How would you like a hydro pack upgrade?
That would be quite helpful for swimming underwater.
Whatever.
Bro, even the baddies that like us are charging us for shit, man. What the hell? Clank, I need you to raise your Riz game up a little bit more so we can get this stuff for free. But yeah, outside of this, the level is awesome and it looks really good. Every section has this giant sense of scale, which is something that the others really only had in one section for a while. While in Hoven, it feels like that in all 3 parts of the level, and each one feels distinct and important. The swing shot path gives you the rare titanium from this drill guy. By the way, that drill is actually similar to the weapon that was going to be in the game originally, a drill that you would use on enemies, and you can lift them up with the drill and drill more enemies from that. But they couldn't program it right, and I guess they couldn't make it look goofy enough to be allowed in the game like this without it looking too gruesome, so they cut it from the game. I won't lie though, if done right, this would have made for such a crude humor weapon in the game. I mean, Ratchet and Clank are already blowing up people or incinerating them. I don't think drilling them really should be that much more gruesome, unless you started putting holes in people. That would be a lot more gruesome, but you don't have to show that part. Now, the last path on the dock sends us to the turret section to shoot down the invading battleships and stop Drek's planet destroyer, calling back to the one used in Battaglia, which you can now say was sort of your training for this level, though I think the Battaglia one was a lot harder than this one. And after stopping his ships, you receive another infobot, the last infobot for the last planet in this section. Before we go there, I want to talk about Ratchet's character and some of the weapons you get. Now, another controversial part of the game at this point is Ratchet's character. Everyone says that he gets too mean and is too selfish. I also would agree that he is doing that.
If they are working for Chairman Drek, they may know where he is.
Is that all you can think about? Drek this and Drek that? I got my own problems.
However, I don't think it's because of bad writing or that it's done to make him fully unlikable, but instead it's to build up his growth as a hero and his friendship with Clank. Even in Ratchet's selfishness, he does show some signs of caring about what happens to the planets, at least enough to want to stop Drek's invading forces.
Yeah? Well, if you're so smart, how come you fell for Quark's stupid trick? Ah, forget it. We both need to get to this planet, and that's all that matters.
We must get to the moon base and stop Drek.
No! We have to get to the moon base to find Quark. If Drek is there, Quark is probably with him.
But Drek is going to destroy that city. We must get to the base.
That's what I said.
No, that is what I said.
Fine.
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 It feels real. Ratchet and Clank are not like Jak and Daxter or even Sly in the Cooper game. They didn't grow up with each other. They're just two randoms that are forced together to save the universe. Ratchet is just some mechanic who wants to explore space, and now all of this got him involved in one of the most dangerous conflicts in the galaxy, all because of Clank. And they got screwed over by Quark because of Clank's naivety. And come on, man, that trap was an easy read like a mile away. I don't think we get on Clank enough, to be honest, for being that gullible. And I get the body's like 0 years old, but he is the robot and clearly has more advanced knowledge to be able to see that. Ratchet's anger comes mostly from wanting revenge on Quark, which luckily ties to taking down Drek as Quark works for him. But as each planet situation gets worse, Ratchet slowly starts to open his eyes to the greater conflict, even if he is still dead set on taking down Quark. I think without this section of the story, the bond between Ratchet and Clank would not be as strong once it fully comes together. I feel like we don't often give negative character moments in our protagonists like this credit outside of how it makes us feel personally. Like, of course it's unlikable, of course it's kind of unreasonable, but is that unreasonable because of the writing, or is it unreasonable because the character needs to grow? It kind of reminds me of how people treat Squall and FF8.
That's Leon.
We know. And hey, it ain't like Clank ain't roasting them back as well.
Perhaps the extra oxygen will help your brain to function properly.
Yeah, and maybe the salt water will rust your mouth shut.
This was also a part of that buddy cop trope that they were going for with these two characters. I think it made them stand out from other protagonists, especially in the platform genre. The story would not hit the same with them complimenting each other or constantly being happy with each other from day one, or having no real internal conflict during the adventure. And I'm so glad that they weren't written like that here. I'd hate to see that happen to them. Anyway, now it's time to get them weapons. As I said before, after the Devastator, I waited until I got the Hypnomatic in order to buy weapons at a discount. And I think everyone should do this. The patience pays off as you get weapons like the drone device, your shield-like weapon that can take hits or shots for you as you walk. The Walloper is one of my personal favorites, in which you punch or wallop the shit out of people in your way. And shout out to having a good hitbox so that you don't really get attacked when you're knocking people out. And then you get the Visibomb, a controlled missile that can be shot around almost anywhere around the map. This weapon caused so much pain for the developers because it could fly anywhere until destroyed, meaning they had to program most of the maps in the game as if every part of it was walkable and viewable, even if they weren't from Ratchet's perspective. There were no real dead zones here, but in my opinion, it was all worth it. Nothing is more satisfying than shooting this out at a group of enemies, or one sitting in the tank from a distance, or some watchtower from a distance. This is the closest you're gonna get to a sniper in the game. And then there's also the decoy glove, but I ain't used that at this point or bought it. But the rest, yeah, they're gonna be needed for this next level as we reach the Gilmick base.
I did not see Drek's ship. We must have missed him.
Who knows where Quark is now? If we're gonna catch those two, we need a faster ship.
Perhaps this space station will supply the ship we need.
Well, we're here. Let's go check it out.
The atmosphere of this level is chilling, bro. Not only is it wild to see the giant sun in the background at dead of space, but the music is very eerie, as if to capture the feel of isolation in the depths of dark space. It feels like that's the only sound you hear in this level at points, as you have to fight through Drek's army on his moon base. And this level does not mess around. You got enemies on guarded turrets, while others shoot at you while you're trying to avoid them. And then you get these watchtowers that are extremely hard to take down without the Visibomb, that have enemies guarding them in general. You just got some of the strongest enemies in the game at this point. And for most of us, we only had like 4 hit points of nanotech with this. So one encounter could end if you don't move with caution. The Visibomb gun is damn near a must. I remember playing this for the first time when I was younger and I did not have it, and I still beat the level, but it was a pain, mostly because of those watchtowers, and I needed to get closer to destroy them and stay out of their range, which is hard to do when they have a fence blocking them unless they take it down. Everything here is going to kill you. This is enemy territory for real, and this time ain't abandoned like Araxon was. And that honestly makes for such a sick and memorable level, one of the best in the freaking game, dude. Just make sure your arsenal is in check. The drone device will also help in these long sections. Most of your arsenal is being used. It's an absolute war of attrition just to reach Quark, only to get there and see him leave it on his ship.
Hello, Captain Ratchet. Come and get me, hero!
Perhaps we could obtain a ship in there.
Great idea. Let's go.
Now at this point, you enter the ship to chase him down, but the game has one last item check with the pilot's helmet. Actually, you would not be able to use the ship in Pogotaru without it either. But the point is, even Gaspar, which had very little story significance, played a role in your progression. And this ship section is much better than the last, mostly because you're going straight forward for most of the battle, as you just need to shoot down the ship Quark has. So there's not much maneuvering, which is great because that bastard is getting shot down to star bits. Won't lie though, not being able to shoot Quark up front is a bit unsatisfying for his boss fight, but it does fit his character to run away like this. To be honest, I'm not even really that mad about the betrayal. I saw that coming. I'm more mad as freaking Bouncer made us pay 4,000 bolts to get to talk to him. Just talk to me and we can go to the planet and you can try to kill me there, man. What the fuck? You're dying for that. And too bad for him, he's not fast enough.
Mayday! Mayday! Well, Ratchet, I'd say you passed the test. Oh, boy.
And with that, folks, we're entering the final act of the game, where the growth of your gameplay and the growth of Ratchet and Clank and their bond will be tested to its absolute limits.
This is Darla Gratch reporting live from Gorda City. This once peaceful planet is being torn apart today in an unprovoked attack. It now seems certain that Supreme Executive Chairman Drek will not be dissuaded in his efforts to destroy the galaxy for his own selfish needs. All hope certainly seems lost.
Darla Gratch, Channel 2 News.
Yes, I know. It is worse than I expected, too.
Look, maybe you were right. This is a lot bigger than you or me. I was really selfish focusing on Quark.
It is not too late to stop Drek.
Hey, yeah! We've got this new ship. Let's go get him.
Now you are talking.
Ratchet and Clank land on a nearby planet that Drek has nearly destroyed. This planet, Atlantis, is so devastated that storms surround its atmosphere, making Clank unable to traverse with you. This is where Ratchet gets the bloodlust out of his eyes for Quark and fully begins to care for Drek's conquest. He begins to grow. All that hatred he had begins to pay off here, as he becomes a real hero, unlike that bum that was shot down. Atlantis is also another test of growth when it comes to the difficulty. Not only does it take away Clank from you, but once again the enemies here have gotten harder. If it ain't these robots lasering you down, it's them combined with the dropships and turrets that will take out your health bar in seconds. You either have to stealth around these sections or get blasted to death. You're really going to want that nanotech upgrade here. And on top of all that, all the areas of this level focus heavily on platforming, and without Clank, some of these jumps become a nightmare. It's almost like a punishment for Ratchet just for taking advantage of the fact that he had Clank by his side, even though he starts caring for him before you explore this planet. This icy sliding section in particular is very challenging without Clank. No more reassurance on jumps, and they still got enemies here too. Hell damn, the grind path got us fighting enemies and jump from side to side to avoid obstacles while getting tracked down by these guys. It all makes sense, as this is the only planet that we see actually destroyed from Drek's invasion. We saw many on the start of the invasion, and we have seen many in the middle of the invasion. We've even seen how the Blarg have treated their own planet, and now we see the final phase of the destruction. You ain't here to save this planet. You're here just to get what you need and save the remaining survivors of the universe. It's pure survival, and yet some freaking way, these fools are still charging us for stuff.
Low prices? Oh, you bet. I can make you a deal on a busted turburator, a mangled carbonizer, or I got this info bot.
Guess that bombing was pretty loud, huh?
Oh, you're one shrewd negotiator. I'll tell you what. I can let this infobot go for half price.
You can't even hear, man. Just let us go. Give me what I need. Thankfully, this is the last money check in the game. No, I'm sorry. There's one more.
Captain Quark.
Where?
Come on, Quark. I know it's you.
The name's Steve. Pleased to meet you.
Look, Steve. I need to know where Drek is before it's too late.
Did you say too late? Sir, it is never too late to acquire the latest in the long line of quality products from Gadgetron. I have for you, today only, the Gadgetron PDA.
Public display of affection?
No, personal delivery assistant. This device allows you to purchase ammunition wherever and whenever you want it.
Yeah? How do I know it works?
You can always trust Gadgetron quality, or my name's not Steve.
You got some nerve, man. I ought to shoot this blast up your ass. You know, sort of like how Spyro did money bags in the last game, you know, burn them to the ground and get your money back. But whatever. You know, I think Quark is more of a joke than Moneybag. Like, he's already fallen off and was presented as an enemy compared to Moneybags blocking out progress and acting like he was on your side. Both knew what stakes were at play, but at least one, you know, knew he was a bastard. The other one just sat there and tried to act like he was helping you. But at least he is useful by giving us this Gadgetron PDA, which allows us to buy ammo at a higher cost from anywhere. The Hypnomatic is crucial to use this because with the discount, the cost of ammo goes back to its normal price. Without it, it becomes really expensive to buy things. However, my PS2 disc likes to act up, and I have prayed that the game does not freeze on me loading a PDA, so I only use it for the final boss, where it froze on me when I had to restart. We'll get to that when we get to that. You also get the Morpho Ray here, a staple of the Ratchet series, morphing enemies into anything, and almost any enemy can be morphed. It just takes time depending on the size of them. This is the joke weapon of the game, but it's actually pretty good and a cool concept. And lastly, I want to praise the Insomniac for giving us so many huge levels in this game. There are around 18 planets or levels in this game, and all of them are much bigger than expected. Insomniac is not new to this, as they did this with Spyro, as those games had so many open levels, as well as they gave a lot of variety in those levels. And I think their trick here was to reuse assets under a new light. Now, all games reuse assets at some point, but I want to point out how genius they did it here. You see, Atlantis really uses buildings from Metropolis. They are all just painted differently and arranged differently. Now, they're under a different skybox too, of course, and there are some floors and obstacles taken from other stages, but it all was made into a new level that gives an entirely different feel, despite that being like the third city level we've gone to, which is amazing how they can continue to make a level theme that's been used in many games before so uniquely fit to Ratchet that they can kind of repeat it 3 different times and give us 3 different entire feels to it. That's awesome. That's one of the things that I think platformers really need to do. Give us something only that platformer can do that is sort of a remix of an old trope, because everything does copy tropes. You know, everything can be a little bit derivative, but it's how you work that derivativity into your own idea that makes that idea stand out. And Ratchet really does that with every planet you go to. You always got to make the most out of the resources you got. Another thing I wanted to praise was how much stuff is going on in the background in the skybox of these levels. We actually do get to see the invasion in the sky, and ships are constantly flying around and shooting all over the place. I know it's probably some trickery to make it look as if it's real, but it's not actually real, but it's still very impressive to have that much stuff going on in the background while you're playing the level. Anytime you look up in the sky, especially in a planet that's dealing with an invasion from Drex forces, you'll always see airships and battleships fighting it out. Or in Atlantis' case here, you'll see all of the ships causing destruction around the entire planet. It's really cool to see visually. And speaking of ships, I do want to mention this really quick because I haven't mentioned it throughout the entire video, but the ship that you use in the game does constantly change. And the only reason I don't really bring it up is because it doesn't really mean anything. Like, there's no upgrade system for it that gives you a benefit, or you have to use that ship in battle, because you use the same ship in battle no matter which place you're fighting on, of like the 2 times you actually use the ship. It's just there for aesthetic reasons and story reasons. Though I will say the ship designs are pretty cool, especially this last one we get right here for the final act of the game. Not gonna lie though, it would have been really cool if the game found a way to load the planet travel faster depending on which ship you have, but that would be a lot of technical work for something that really doesn't matter in the first place. Now, this last act is much shorter than before. You really only need to get 1 new weapon here, which is the Tesla Claw. And the new gadgets introduced here only get used like 1 or 2 times. Take the Hydro pack you got in Hoven. It makes your controls underwater better, and with the O2 mask, it makes you able to pretty much breathe underwater indefinitely. By the time you get it, there's like 2 major sections that utilize it, and they work the exact same, but you having to swim through these rings in a time limit before all the water is electrocuted. It's probably the most underutilized upgrade in the game, despite you having to struggle a bit on water sections before that point on purpose. Maybe we should have gotten a water planet, but instead we got part 2, the last sort of adventure-esque backtracking planet, as you aren't able to progress into the factory on the planet without the hollow guys, which you will need to get from the gadgets from the planet. Though we do get to use Giant Clank here.
Hey! You need help fixing that thing?
Actually, I'm trying to destroy it.
Why?
I was contracted to re-engineer my enlarging machine to create huge, heavily armed mechs.
So that's where those mechs came from.
Precisely. Had I known Drek was behind this, I never would have done it.
Is there anything we can do?
Well, if you'll volunteer to be enlarged, you may be able to stop those mechs long enough for me to sabotage this machine.
And then you will change me back?
I've never tried that, but in theory, yes.
The last Clank section in the game revolves around this form, with him now literally growing to a bigger size, but Ratchet has to ride on his back as he mows down giant enemies in his path. Once again, the game is making up for something that we felt weaker on control-wise and movement-wise and speed-wise, everything-wise. It's a payoff that puts over Clank in a huge way, no pun intended. Everything in this game has a payoff. It's just that sometimes the setup is a bit rough, which can piss some players off, but I can always forgive this type of stuff if the payoff is strong, and it is strong here. And now we get to my second favorite planet in the game, Calibo 3, aka Gadgetron headquarters, aka the home of the guys keeping us alive with their weaponry. I love how even though this is a weapons factory, it's much cleaner than any of the large bases. The water is clean, the sky is blue, and the atmosphere on the planet feels fresh. In fact, it feels like the most fresh planet that we've been to so far, and it makes it one of the best looking planets in the game as well. Drex hating ass sends his top of the line soldiers here, and these guys shoot you down so fast in a pack that you gotta run away and take cover. They look like the executioner dudes from Shrek with jetpacks flying around. But that's where the Devastator comes in and the Visibomb gun to remove these fools from a distance. But you also gotta deal with Gadgetron's self-defense systems and test rooms where robots use your own weapons against you. Now why couldn't these guys just go fight against the invading forces that are attacking their home? Oh right, I guess that's our job to do. You even got the last major grind section over the water, which is hiding another hoverboard section underneath, and that leads us to the Gadgetron lady that's been assisting us this whole time with the tutorial messages.
Oh man.
Come here often?
Actually, I work here, so I come here all the time.
Oh, yeah.
I've been following your progress. Here, shh, take this. It's a map-o-matic. It will be very helpful.
I'll see you later.
Bye, sweetie.
I think she likes me.
Everything has a payoff, even if you didn't know you needed it. Even Gadgetron's defenses have it, as when you meet with the head of Gadgetron, he's not even worried about the invasion because they make the weapons. They're just gonna destroy these dudes with their defense systems. Dude really was unfazed until we made it here. And after helping him advertise his new hoverboards in a race.
Rolling!
Hi. This is Ratchet for, Gadgetron hoverboards. And if you,
Yo, dudes, for the freshest boards in the galaxy, check out the new XZ88 from Gadgetron. It's so hot, it's cool.
I think I got the wrong guy.
He gives us the Hollow Guys, wrapping up a golded planet. And now we can use it to go back to the bomb factory. The Hollow Guys is our final gadget, letting us disguise as robots so that we can move undetected. If you get detected and they press that switch, you're dead. Now with the Hollow Guys, you can't jump and you have to kill those robots as soon as you get past them. There's even sections where you have to jump, turn the Hollow Guys on, and then wait for them to go and then jump again. So you have to be very careful when using this, because if they spot you, even if you transform right in front of them, which makes sense, they're gonna still try to kill you.
Robots are not so easily fooled.
ah, what's that?
What?
Uh-huh.
And though the time with this gadget is underutilized at this point in the game, I don't think what they do with the time that they have is underutilized, because these sections are often long and really make the most out of what the Hollow Guys does compared to the Hydro Pack. That was kind of a setup for the next game coming out compared to this. And usually they put the Hollow Guys behind very important sections because Quark 2 was the planet where Clank was born, and it's here that we get to see his mom.
That should do it.
Mom?
Oh, brother.
I tried, Mom. I know.
Hey, look! A sister!
My fellow blog, our synthetic world is now fully functional and ready for habitation. However, there is one small obstacle in our way. This pathetic lump of a planet. Due to some blunder of fate, it happens to occupy the galaxy's most perfect orbit. But no more. Behold, the Deplanetizer, the most powerful laser ever created. Soon, we'll move the Deplanetizer into place just above the planet's surface. I will, of course, be on hand to press the button that will blow this mudball to smithereens. No one will even miss it. See you then!
Ratchet, are you all right?
He is going to pay!
Excuse me?
It shouldn't have taken me this long to see it! Drek is going to find out what happens when you mess with my home. What are you smiling at?
This is the Ratchet I always knew was there.
Okay, if we're gonna do this, we need to get onto Drek's ship. And then we can find out where he set up that laser.
I will try to make you proud, Mom.
This moment in the game is incredible, not only for Clank's relationship with his mom, Ratchet finally realizing what he needs to do, but also the fact that while Clank gets closure on his planet of origin, Ratchet's home planet is shown to be on the verge of destruction. How ironic is it that the roles have been swapped once Ratchet has finally grown? Same with Clank. Now about Drek, I want to go over Ratchet's enemy, or the theme at least for the first part of the series. Many people bring up Ratchet and Clank's commentary on capitalism and commercialism, also corporate greed, but I think it's more than just making fun of those values. I think Ratchet feels more like it's discussing the topic in its most pure way possible, more than any other game, even if that's the major focus behind the villain, because that is the enemy of the early games, or the central theme of the early Ratchet and Clank game. And it's not something that's kind of made to be defeatable, rather it's the corrupted individuals that are brought about to take advantage of these ideals. But on its surface, it may not seem as epic as something like Jack's story, which revolves around Eco and the history of the precursors, or Sly's story, which always revolves around the Cooper legacy and Sly's role in that, and the Thievius Raccoonus. Compared to them, Ratchet doesn't have anything outward that feels as epic or defined as the other two series. However, it's because it's more subtle, and that our villains don't go on some stupid, boring monologue about how much they gained the system or why they're unstoppable, but they just do it, and that feels very real. These things just happen, right? They just do it because they can, and they will. And it's not some big question of being good or evil. It's just that people are going to gain the system regardless of how you feel about it. It's just that even when they take it so far, somebody has to step up and stop it. But it's hard to do that when everybody else is also trying to take advantage of the system around you. Like, Drek wants his planet, so he's gonna take other planets and charge high rates to live on this new planet. The characters that we meet charge us for things because they need to survive this dangerous galaxy as well. It's not about trying to expose these things, but rather making fun of them and making villains that represent them at their most pure level. And to be honest, like I said, it feels real. Drek knows he's evil. He knows what he's doing is wrong. He doesn't care because of his profits. Quark just wants to keep the last of his fame and his money, and the galaxy is only meaner because they have to react to all that.
Halt! Who are you? What are you doing?
We are on a mission to save the galaxy.
Speak for yourself and put your hands down. You look ridiculous.
Actually, I don't care who you are. I've got to get the heck out of here. I joined the army to get money to go to college. I never knew I'd end up in a war. Go figure.
This is a noble cause, sir.
Noble my hiney. I just want to get home to my family. Here, I pulled this off a busted robot. Give me some bolts for bus fare and it's yours.
I mean, even Ratchet reacts to that in a way in the second act in the game. But with this being Ratchet and Clank, they do try to find ways to make light of it and laugh at it, because sometimes that's all you can really do, even if the danger is on a galactic scale. It is ridiculous that people are doing things like that. It's ridiculous that Drek is even justifying what he does. It's ridiculous. There's not a galactic police force trying to stop this guy. But you know what? That's just how stupid our reality can be sometimes, even though we don't really have people taking over planets yet. You know, Drek kind of reminds me of Frieza, a much more weaker Frieza, less racist Frieza, but both were meant to be real estate agents selling planets at the cost of lies, and they don't got some sappy motivation, or in Drek's case, you know, he lies on purpose but shows his true motivations up front, and they aren't trying to make you see their point. They want something done and they just do it, and that's what happens in our world too. Not everyone's gonna have some sad sob story of why they do these evil things. They're just gonna do it because it provides gains to them for whatever reason. It just happens to be evil. And I can really respect that in these games for not only bringing it to light, but also making fun of it. Also, both for midgets. Drek would be just a stepping stone to the stories that would follow in the classic era of Ratchet and Clank, or I can say the PS2, PSP era of Ratchet and Clank, that focus on these themes. It may not be as outwardly epic as Jack or Sly's ordeals, but it does create a more galactic conflict for Ratchet and Clank, and it all culminates in these last two levels. Before heading to Velden, Ratchet and Clank head to Drek's dropship to stop him before he fully attacks the planet. The hologuise is used heavy here and with caution, as these guard dogs are added with the big robots that can smell you under the disguise. And if you get caught, they sound an alarm and it's an instant game over, as every room starts shooting energy balls at you. It's best to throw out the glove of doom and take those dogs out before progressing. This culminates in a magna boot section that leads us outside of the ship, that then leads to us piloting the spaceship to destroy his ship's cannons. It really feels like we are slowly dismantling canceling the last line of Drek's big defenses. You also get the box breaker here, which is the last item, and it will give you 20,000 bolts in this area back on Quartu, which can help you get the last viable weapon from Gadgetron, the Tesla Claw that I mentioned earlier. And this thing's gonna be needed because Veldon is nearly swarmed. It's awesome how the first level was turned into a near hellscape as the final level. Drek's army is everywhere, even near Ratchet's house. You couldn't go back to this planet until now, and now it's on the verge of destruction. It's the final test of the game. The atmosphere has been taken over by the red sky. All of the hardest enemies are here, but now with your almost full arsenal, you have the tools to take them down. The Tesla Claw is perfect for destroying the flying guys as it works like an electric fly swatter, aiming itself at anyone near you no matter what, even if they're high or low, and eviscerating them quickly. There's a reason why it was the most expensive of the Gadgetron weapons, as it helps against this last hurdle of enemy types that try and swarm you. The Visibomb gun would also be useful here in taking down some tanks and dropships from a distance, and when these flying guys are too close to each other. The weapons never really lose out in damage, but the situations make you want to switch to different weapons, which I think is good weapon balance, as you really have to utilize them in the right ways if you want to survive the later levels, instead of just having them be completely outclassed near the end of the game. All of your gadgets come into play too, except for the hollow guys, making every puzzle come back into play. But as you mow down the last of Drek's army, you finally get to him on Giant Clank.
Hey! What the?
Imbeciles! After all the trouble you've gone through, you're about to die right where you started. It's so poetic.
This is it, Clank. Let's get him.
Alright, time for a beatdown.
You might have been useful to me after all. Too bad you chose the wrong side.
You know what? He did create this stuff, so it makes sense. The rest of the battle is you chasing Drek down on his robot and just shooting it down and avoiding attacks. After some hits, he will destroy the platform you're on, and you'll chase him down until he reaches the deplanetizer.
So it has come to this. Once I step on this ignition switch, a countdown will commence, the end of which signals the destruction of your pitiful world.
There must be another way to make a home for your people.
You think that's what this is about? Who do you think polluted our last world? I did. This is about one thing and one thing only: cash, and lots of it. You see, I've been paid for every square inch of my new world. Once the inhabitants move in, I will begin polluting this world as well. Then the whole thing starts all over again. Ah, brilliant.
Why, you evil little...
Save it, Clank. We have to stop that timer.
See, all of this was just for money. It's just pure greed that you love to hate. As long as he stays, this cycle will continue, but that ends now. From here, it's a battle of attrition, as you have to stop the deplanetizer from going off at points while fighting him at the same time, using the grind boots to avoid attacks by grinding the rails around the arena. Even the freaking grind boots come back into play in the last area. You're going to need to let out all of your weapons in order to beat him. This is a full-on war of attrition, with the Gadgetron PDA helping out with some ammo, as long as they're free by PlayStation 2. But after enough shots, he's down with a bang.
Ratchet?
What's up? You know, this time I am thinking what you're thinking. This can't be good. Phew, that was close. Clank, you can pull us up now.
The servos in my arm appear to be broken.
Broken? As in, fall to our deaths broken?
Yes.
That was close. Thanks.
My arm appears to be badly damaged.
Ah, you'll be all right. Hey, tin can! Where do you think you're going? We, still need to fix that arm.
And that's how you make a duo together. After all the fighting, all the disagreements, all the planet hopping, all the murder, Ratchet and Clank finally become a true team. The game ain't over yet though. Upon beating the game, you'll get to play challenge mode, a harder version of the game where you get to keep all your weapons, though upgrades and gadgets will only come as it came in through the first playthrough. This is how Ratchet and Clank handles replayability, but it's not just a hard mode, as you have new weapons to unlock and you get more bolts as you play. 11 of your weapons have golden versions. These can only be bought on the Valis and need gold bolts and regular bolts to unlock them. I wanted to wait to talk about the gold bolts until this section. Gold bolts were collectibles that you could find throughout the game. During normal playthrough, you probably didn't see the benefit to them, but now they play a role in upgrading your arsenal. Some even require you to backtrack with weapons or gadgets that you get later on and use them in old levels to find that golden bolt. There's even an item you can get called the Map-O-Matic that you can use to spot where golden bolts are in a radius of an area. These things are great to collect early on so you can get some of the golden weapons early, as they are not only stronger but have more benefits, like the Glove of Doom getting bigger Doom bots, and they are almost the size of Ratchet. However, there is one weapon that everyone wants to really save up for, and yes, I did not forget it when I went over Blackwater. I just wanted to wait up to this point to talk about that weapon, because that weapon is Rhino.
Rhino for your robot. Trade you.
Well, okay.
Ratchet.
I'm kidding. Sorry, he's not for sale. What's a rhino anyway?
Rip ya a new one.
What did you just say to me?
R-Y-N-O. Rip ya a new one.
Why, that's the most powerful missile launcher in the galaxy. I know it's worth a lot of bolts. He must have stolen it from the Blarg.
Stolen? Look, trash can. Did I say anything about it being hot? You better watch your mouth or I'll...
Wait, don't tell me. Rip you a new one.
Rip ya a new one. The most expensive weapon in the game is definitely gonna rip your wallet a new one. You get this cutscene early on in Blackwater, egging you on to save up to get it, but not knowing you really aren't supposed to get it for about another playthrough, as you won't get enough bolts throughout the game. Well, unless...
That's right, we're gonna cheat.
Now there's this infamous glitch in the game that involves finally making good use of the decoy glove and the taunter, as they are needed for this glitch. You have to glitch through this wall in Blackwater and get onto the hoverboard racetrack while not actually on the hoverboard, so that you can use the taunter in this area on foot to get these bolts. Now this is a tedious task, with most just clipping something on the O button and letting the game sit overnight to get the bolts they want. You can also find an extra pair of weapons in Blackwater if you jump in front of the racing lady right here, though you can only view and use these in Blackwater, so make good use of them. But in all seriousness, I don't know how the hell they got away with this. This is a crazy ass Easter egg, but I'm not complaining about it. Sure. But I will tell you, it is worth it in the end, because the Rhino is the ultimate weapon of the game.
This thing is heavy! Yeah, try carrying it around in your trench coat for 2 months.
Thank you, sir. We'll be sure to tell everyone about your services.
Listen, you little twerp. If you tell anyone what you saw or what we talked about...
Do I even have to say it?
Yous two have a nice day.
a giant fusion of mini guns that will shoot out everything all at once, completely ripping a new one until every enemy in the game. Look at how I mow down this entire level near the end of the game. It's worth the bolts, and it's more important to get that than the gold weapons, as it will end the game's difficulty entirely. Honestly, you can probably just keep playing the game with this and just buy all the golden weapons with the Rhino. Now, it's important to note that you won't get this to at least a third of the way through a second playthrough unless you use that glitch, but it's probably better just to wait to the second playthrough and take your time to get it, because I was serious when I said this game difficulty goes out of the window. It kind of reminds me of getting the Super Flame after 100%ing Spyro 2, except you can turn this off if you want to. It's the perfect in-game reward for a game as difficult as this. And speaking of Spyro, as I mentioned before, there are these skill points you can get, and the rewards for them are cheat codes, though most of them are just like big head modes. I don't know what the developer's obsession with big heads were back in the day, and even now's the time with these cheats. I mean, it's kind of funny, but it ain't that damn big of a deal to fight this hard to get them. But I guess it was a fun little extra to have. That's also how you get to see the game's cutscene in an epilogue similar to the one in Spyro, which discusses what happened to each planet after you left. It's a lot of replay value here if you're mostly okay with repeating the same game again. But the fact that there's so many unlockables after that, and honestly for a challenge mode, because of how much more powerful you are with these newer, more improved weapons, you kind of can just speed run the game at a certain point. And it'll probably take you about 2 to 3 playthroughs to finally get everything in the game if you want to fully 100% it, which is fine by me, because I almost couldn't put this game down for this retrospective. I just wanted to keep playing and keep unlocking stuff, but it has to end at some point. It's just so addicting getting to grow your arsenal, get skill points, get bolts, get golden bolts, and keep going, man. Like, they really made a satisfying gameplay loop with this game that you really only can get here, and that's very important.
We knew we had to come up with something that was going to raise the bar even farther than Spyro had as far as action platformers went, and that's where Ratchet and Clank came from. We're actually expanding the genre. We're trying to break out of what people typically consider the action platformer or character action game genre.
Every single level of the game, we bring forth something new for the player to do. By the 5th or 6th level of this game, we are up to the complexity of the strongest titles in the category, and there's a lot of levels in this game.
There's loads and loads of stuff wherever you look. There's detail, there's movement, explosions. It's a busy world.
We're not just creating these environments and expecting them to sit there and expecting people to say, wow, your polygons are so pretty. The point is, it's alive, and there's a lot going on. It's not a static universe, it's an interactive universe, and you interact with it.
With an immense arsenal of gadgets and weapons, innovative gameplay mechanics, an evolving economic system, unparalleled technology, and vibrantly detailed graphics, Ratchet and Clank is a galaxy-stomping, adrenaline-soaked masterpiece.
We've gone out of our way to make this thing the largest, loudest, most active world we could possibly think of.
What Insomniac has done with this game blows my mind every time I see it. Like, I just sit in awe and stare at the visual material and just the all-encompassing feel that this game offers.
There are a lot of things that the players have to do, a lot of things that players have to keep in mind, but when it comes down to it, it's really just about blowing shit up.
Blow up a lot of shit.
Blow up. Blowing shit up.
Ratchet and Clank, coming to a galaxy near you.
Ratchet and Clank's unique combination of gameplay is what made it stand out from its other platformers at the time. It just has that identity that its others lacked. If you notice, Ratchet was the only one out of his trio that stayed similar no matter what, and I think it was because of its unique weaponry, adventure elements, and the sci-fi elements growing with your gadgets and arsenal that ended up making this game so addicting to play. Its planet felt very expansive despite being linear, and even if it used some old platformer or game elements from other games, they were able to elevate it and make it unique on its own. It gave it Ratchet and Clank's identity, and that's important because I feel in that era where platforms were becoming one and dones and the market was getting oversaturated and many of them were chasing trends to stay alive, it felt like Ratchet and Clank knew what it was and what it wanted to be and how to maximize on it. Many of the elements people had some issues with, like the difficulty or some of the backtracking, I found to have some sort of payoff too. Like, it wasn't just the concept was bad, rather the certain execution of the concept was bad, or there were points electronics where it was made to feel worse on purpose so that it could feel better later on. I think that's why, compared to its counterparts, Ratchet stayed the same. It wasn't just trying to be something else with a small, strong, unique element that it didn't really capitalize on. It took elements from other games and made something brand new and addictive, and created its own identity in its own unique world that players like me couldn't put down. I think that's the reason why Jack and Sly had to change drastically from their first games, because they really needed to hone in on that unique part of their identity and expand on its full potential, while Ratchet from the start unlocked that full potential and thus only had to expand on it as it went along. And even with those changes that those series made, I still think Ratchet comes out on top. I just keep playing it no matter what. It's just one of those games you can just lock into for a long time without realizing it, and I think that's because of the constant growth of your money and arsenal, and because of the new planets put in your face all the time, and because of its addictive run and gun gameplay and its cool main character. That's why, to me, Ratchet and Clank remains on top and survives so long compared to not only its PlayStation platformers, but really all the platforming genre. This game was not just trying to compete with platformers, it was trying to compete in the gaming space as a whole, and it succeeded, only getting better as it grew. Like our characters grow in the game, like our skill level grew in the game. I had to throw that in there one last time, guys. With that being said, thanks for watching the video. We're gonna cover the rest of the PlayStation platformers soon. It all just takes time, baby. I'm getting to it all and talk to you about it, and I love talking about these games. So with that being said, stay off the drugs, stay in school, don't take the wooden nickels, because we're never soft and always hard. And lastly, don't forget, you better believe, baby. Yeah. Oh yeah, baby. We back in action. Yeah. But before we go today, we're gonna have a first on the JayBlast Network. I finally got our first ever sponsor, and it's Gadgetron, with a brand new product for you to try. Check it out.
Do you have a problem with unwanted hair? Is painful itching in your nether regions causing you undue embarrassment? Do you just plain stink? Then you need this, the Gadgetron Personal Hygienitor. Hi, I'm Steve McQuark. And this little baby can take care of any grooming needs that are just too much trouble for you to handle yourself. Allow me to demonstrate. Yeah. Oh, mommy.
Turn it off! Turn it off!